Hello and welcome to the Radical Podcast, inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root. We explore the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
This season is all about divination, tarot, and the power held within our intuition. This is The Radical with Nicole and Christina, the two metaphysical girls in the material world. Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Nicole.
And this is Christina.
Today, we are talking about tarot meeting our birth charts.
I remember the very first time we started I started putting this together, and then we started taking pictures of our cards, which we're going to share and all this. And I was like, it unlocked another part of my mind in this metaphysical world of drawing on and using energies and understanding myself better through this.
Once I started understanding the decans and how each 10-degree segment of the zodiac had a corresponding tarot card, I got really curious about what those cards were for me. And of course, I have created a spreadsheet.
Yes. I put all my stuff in the same spreadsheet too, listeners. So at some point we are going to take we're not going to go line by line, but we're going to talk about the things that maybe surprised us, the things that shocked us a little bit, but it gave me a whole nother aspect of the energies of my birth chart.
So our aim today in this final Gemini episode, using our intellect in the air element in this manner, Christina has a list of planets and celestial bodies. We have dedicated an episode to each planet throughout this second season, but we'll recap some highlights. And then what I want to do is explain how you can fill in your own table. We'll make our template available in the Substack so you can copy it, and we'll explain how to fill it in at the very, very end. I'm using a new Oracle deck for messages from the universe. It's called the Citadel. As we are getting ready for our third season, which will include archetypes, this deck feels archetypal to me. So I have 3 cards from that deck.
This list is a bit of a review. I needed a review. I'm going to start with the sun. And the sun takes exactly 1 year. That's what we base our year on, is the sun. It takes 365.25 days to travel through all 12 astrological signs. It spends about a month in each, and it travels at about 1 degree a day. And we remember that the sun sign is essentially represents our core identity, our basic personality, our life purpose and ego. And it can be considered the central pillar of your character. The moon sign travels through all 12 zodiac signs in 27.3 days. That's a sidereal month. And because it moves faster from our point of view than the other celestial bodies, you do need the more information you have about the details of your birth, the more accurate you can be with where the moon was when you were born, because the moon spends 2 to 2.5 days in each sign. And the sun is our ego. Well, the moon represents our internal life, our emotional world, subconscious habits. And I love this, what you need to feel secure and how you nurture yourself and how you like to nurture others. I'm coming to understand the energy of my moon sign very differently. And every now and then I read something that explains it differently, and I'm really wanting to grow more and understanding of my moon sign. I was always focused on like sun sign, right? In our Western culture. If somebody says, "What's your sign?" They're talking about your sun sign. But we have so much more in our birth charts than that. Just to highlight Mercury very quickly, Mercury takes 1 year to go through all 12 zodiac signs. That's because it's basically right on top of the sun. Basically, Mercury and the sun are right next to each other. But Mercury has a little different orbit, and it does retrograde. Mercury will be 14 to 30 days in each sign. And because Mercury is never far from the sun, usually your Mercury sign is your sun sign or 1/. It's not further than that because Mercury is always right next to the sun. And Mercury just is the blueprint of your thinking, communicating, and how you process information, how you speak, how you write, how you learn, all that intellectual and mind aspects of our personalities. And Venus also takes 1 year, about 225 days, to move through all 12 zodiac signs. And again, Venus, we remember, is called the morning or the evening star. It is also very close to the sun from our point of view. So Venus is usually not more than 2 signs away from your sun sign. It might be the same. It might be 1/, in either direction, or it might be 2/. That's an interesting thing to think about, those inner planets and how they relate to us in our sun sign. And Venus is our core values, what we prioritize emotionally and materially. It's our relationships with money, material possessions, and what we prioritize. And also, I like this, our aesthetics and our taste, what we like in art, beauty, fashion, how we express ourselves and how we express affection. Moving on to Mars. Mars takes 2 years to travel through all 12 zodiac signs. Now we're on the other side of Earth as we're moving away from the sun. Now it's 2 years. And Mars, again, the more information that you have about the specifics of your birth, the better the information on your Mars placement will be. It's good to have your birth date, time, and city. And Mars does move quickly. A few hours difference in your birth time could change the position. And to recap very quickly, Mars represents our inner drive. I found this little article here, and it explains how you pursue what you desire, what motivates you to get things done. This is your fighting style during conflict and your approach to taking action. It's a very, very young planet. It's all about action. Okay, so Mars was 2 years. The next planet, Jupiter, 12 years to travel. We did a huge jump. We had to go through the asteroids. We had to go through our inner asteroid belt, and now we're moving on to the gas giants and the outer planets. 12 years for Jupiter. And it spends about a year in each sign. Jupiter returns. I know we talked about this when we talked about Jupiter, but I love this thought. I got all caught up in the returns of the planets to our birth chart, our birth dates, our birthdays, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that when the planets come all the way back around. In Jupiter, every 12 years, 12, 24 years old, 36 years old, 48 years old. That was my last one. And I had a wonderful, I didn't know it at the time because I wasn't thinking about my Jupiter return, but that was just a couple of years ago, and so much was changing in my life. I made some radical decisions and I expanded and I grew. My next Jupiter return, 60. And in some cultures, 60, when you get to 60, that is a reset. You get all your debts forgiven and you get to be reborn and start over again. I can't wait for that, Nicole. I am going to. As if I'm already not doing everything I want to do. I'm going to get even more like uh more pursuing the things that I love, and being joyful, and following my bliss. And then 72, 84, 96, 108. And I guarantee you, they say that the person who's going to live to be 150 is alive right now. And then you got that Jupiter return at 120. Telling you what, I don't doubt people are going to, like, with the technology we have today, we're going to have a whole bunch of people 120 years old in the next coming years. And Jupiter, as we talked about, indicates, oh, its placement. This is experiencing blessings, taking advantage of opportunities and looking for opportunities, but also a whole lot of like natural flow. You think about the tarot card for this is the Wheel of Fortune. Whenever I think about Jupiter, it's the Wheel of Fortune. The wheel is spinning. Okay, Saturn. Okay, we were at Jupiter was 12. Saturn is 29.5 years to travel through all the zodiac signs. It spends about 2.5 to 3 years in each zodiac sign. And you know when your Saturn return is? It's about 29 years old, 58 years old, 87 years old, and then add, 30 years or 29 years to 87, and then you'll get your next Saturn return. But Saturn as the planet of like discipline and challenges and karma and lessons. I'm really looking forward to 58 to feel and to move into that energy of my Saturn return and see what's in store for me when that comes along. Because like Saturn has the rings, and they say like as Saturn rings are a boundary in space, often Saturn represents our boundaries in the physical world. It's about rules and limits, regulations, and it's like how we live in the tangible earthly world. I have a note here. Saturn enforces the idea you reap what you sow. Oh, and Saturn is also about time, right? It was Chronos, and Saturn is at the edge, or was at the edge of the visible universe. For a lot of our time on this planet as human beings, Saturn was the limit, and then you would turn around and come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Saturn returns. I don't recall the 29-year-old Saturn return. I'd have to go back and like really think about what I was doing when I was 29, but I'm going to be aware of the one at 58. I'm going to be ready for it. Okay, Uranus, 84 years to move through all 12 signs of the zodiac. It's about 7 years in each sign. Your Uranus return, okay, y'all, probably just going to have the one at 84 years old. Probably just gonna have this one. But can you, I hope, Nicole, you and I still know each other when we're 80, when I turn 84, because it is gonna be, I'm gonna have a throwdown party, and I'm gonna be ready for the whole like Uranus return, because Uranus is all about like independence and originality and rebellion and sudden awakenings, and like that erratic changes and unconventionality. So I make it to 84. That's it. I'm letting go of all other constraints. I've got 60 and then I've got 84.
That would make a good themed party.
Oh my gosh.
A Uranus party.
Yes. So Uranus 84, next Neptune 165 years for Neptune to move through all 12 zodiac signs. About 13 to 14 years in each sign. And Neptune, it's about dreams and illusions and the subconscious, but in a way that it deals with more like imagination, and I want to say almost like a shared unconscious, like the collective unconscious, because then it also talks about, or it also rules the aspects of arts and film and photography and music and all mediums that I guess, act as illusions, but also with our emotions. So the moon is like my internal world, and Neptune is like our internal world that we experience, like that collective unconscious.
It makes sense because Pisces is domiciled in Neptune, and
Yes.
Pisces is the end of the zodiac, very much like the collective
Yeah.
unconscious, like you said.
Yeah. And then Pluto, 248 years to complete a full orbit through the 12 zodiac signs. It's okay. Now, this is what I told you before we hit record, that out of all of our birth charts, Nicole, you and I don't even have Pluto in common, even though it spends 11 to 32 years, and between 11 and 32 years, because of its where it's located, and because specifically of Pluto's specific, I think it's erratic and highly elliptical orbit, that it will spend like 11 or 15 years in some signs, like Scorpio and Sagittarius. It's in there for like 11 to 15 years, very short. Average between 16 and 20 years, like Libra, Capricorn, and Aquarius. But then in some signs, it's in there for 20 or 30 years, like Taurus and Gemini. And all this is like information that I found on the interwebs. Listeners, if you're specifically interested in the details of Pluto and where it's placed in the zodiac signs. But I was like, certainly Nicole and I, we're not, our age isn't like within there, but it's still not. Like, for whatever reason, depending on the months that we were born, we do not have our Plutos in common because of Pluto's highly erratic and elliptical orbit. It was in one of the shorter time frames. It was in one of the shorter places.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, Pluto is all about rebirth, transformation, our deepest parts of our, like, because where Pluto is in the, what do they call it, trans-Neptunian objects out in deep space, right? So it's our psyche and breaking down and rebuilding, our relationship with power, right? Power and transportation and the cycles of life. And then I did touch on Chiron, and I did Chiron and Lilith last. I kind of did it a little bit out of order, but Chiron takes 50 years to move through all 12 zodiac signs. And then I really latched onto this because I am right now in my Chiron return. My Chiron, when I was born, it was in Aries, and it's in Aries right now. It's at the end of its time in Aries. And you think about Chiron as the wounded healer, healing everybody but themselves. Maybe this is why when people move into like their 50s, isn't this when people generally have their midlife crisis, or they have their moments of deep transformation? I am saying it's my Chiron return. I've had a incredibly happy and, like I said, big changes, difficult changes that I've been doing in the past couple of years, and really did some deep, deep healing for myself. And I know that's because of Chiron was back in Aries from when I was born 50 years ago. As Chiron represents our deepest core wounds, it also is our greatest potential for healing. This is a really interesting little point. To figure out more information about your Chiron placement, generally, the zodiac sign of your Chiron is how you were wounded and the nature of the pain. But then you look at your chart, and the astrological house that Chiron is in is where this wound plays out in your life. So it's an interesting thing to think about. If you have information on your Chiron, it might be an interesting thing to look up and to reflect on as you're looking past maybe on your Chiron return, or you're looking forward to it, or you're just working with that Chiron energy. And then finally, Lilith. I remember we talked about the celestial body Lilith. That is an asteroid, 1181 Lilith, that takes 4 years to cycle the entire zodiac. Generally, when we're talking about Lilith in astrology, it's Black Moon Lilith, which is the lunar apogee, which is a point in space. And that is 9 months rotating through each zodiac sign because it's not a physical planet. It's a mathematical point in space. The moon's furthest point from Earth. And the so much interesting things to read about Lilith, but that is like a, if Pluto is like your distant shadow, Lilith is like the shadow that's right in front of you, right? It's like the same kind of themes of that, but closer, more personal, and more like now. More like it's like the moon is like our immediate, our private self. Lilith is like your private shadow, and Pluto is more of like our collective shadows. But that was a I said it was going to be really quick, Nicole. What I say? Oh, it's going to be about 10 minutes. Here I am, several more than 10 minutes later. I talked about some aspects of the planets that I knew, forgot, and then remembered. And then also some more points as we're looking at the energies of these planets, just kind of helping us understand as now we're introducing the next layer of tarot.
I decided to start with a recap also of the decans. The decans are 10-day periods and 10-degree increments of the 360-degree zodiac wheel. It works out mathematically that there are 36 increments and 36 minor arcana cards. So, said another way, there's one minor arcana card per 10-day period or 10-degree increment on the zodiac wheel. There are 12 zodiac signs, and each zodiac sign breaks into 3 decans because each zodiac sign occupies 30 degrees of the entire 360-degree wheel. The astrological year begins with Aries 1, which is the Two of Wands, and runs through the whole year, concluding with Pisces 3, the Ten of Cups. Each decan has a traditional planetary ruler, and these are assigned using a descending framework, which Western astrology typically uses. It orders the planets based on the apparent orbital speed from Earth. So it goes Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. So, for example, Aries 1, the planetary ruler is Mars. Aries 2, ruled by the Sun. And then Aries 3, ruled by Venus. And so on, following and rotating through that descending framework. Each decan has a minor arcana card, a zodiac sign, and from that zodiac sign, a corresponding major arcana card, as well as a planetary ruler, and from there, the corresponding major arcana card for that planet. And that is exactly what the table, the Excel sheet that we created, is formatted to include. Okay, so to fill in your table, you're going to need a birth chart with the degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a birth chart that says your sun is in Leo, that's not going to give you enough information to do this activity. You need to know that your sun is in, for example, 6 degrees of Leo. Once you know that, you can fill in the decan. The way I did it, 0 degrees through 9 degrees is the first decan of the zodiac sign. 0 through 9 degrees would be the first 10 degrees. 10 through 19 degrees, the second decan of the zodiac sign. And then 20 degrees through 29 degrees is the third decan. So those 2 items are your first 2 columns. Your birth chart placement, sun in 6 degrees Leo, for example, and then identifying the decan. So in this example, Leo 1. I then filled in the decan ruler. This is Saturn in Leo, if we're going to keep using this example. And what we're going to do also is I have a massive spreadsheet that has all the decans and all this information. And we're going to share that in the Substack as well, so that you have a place to go to find your decan ruler for Aries 3 or Libra 2. You can go to the spreadsheet and figure out the decan ruler, as well as the minor arcana card, the corresponding major arcana card based on your zodiac sign that you're working with, as well as the corresponding major arcana card for the planet you're working with. So, as Christina was talking, I was looking at my table that I made, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to spend time. Mars, for example, how I'm scrolling back up. Mars, for example, represents how you handle conflict. So in my table, I have Mars in Capricorn. That's the Three of Pentacles.
Cooperation.
And because it's Capricorn, it's also the Devil card. And
Mm-hmm.
because it's Mars, it's the Tower. So I want to think about that. What does that mean to me?
Because Mars is how you handle conflict, what motivates you. And my Mars is 22 degrees in Aries. That's a domicile. This is Venus in Aries. Four of Wands, the corresponding zodiac major is the Emperor, and the corresponding planetary major for Venus is the Empress.
There's a definite theme of stability and
The
like
four.
groundedness.
But then the Empress and the Emperor, though they are counterparts, are yin and yang. To me, they're strong examples of those two, not opposing energies, but the two polar energies of yin and yang. But you think about that Mars, Venus in Aries, and Four of Wands. I remember covering that. And we did like a picture with all our cards together. And I have a lot of Four of Wands. I have three Four of Wands in my main birth chart. And that's kind of like an interesting theme that you become aware of, listeners, when you do this exercise. You see oppositions and counterparts and things that recur.
When we did this, I was really interested in tallying the suits and therefore the elements present in my birth chart. I wanted to see, and it's no surprise that the swords show up the least amount when I did this. I'm mostly water and earth. I think I was tied water and earth, cups and pentacles. Makes total sense to me. And then the fewest placements contain swords. And I was like, that, yes.
When I got one of
I
my
think,
first, when I got one of
Christina had a repeat. Like you were saying, your Four of Wands repeats.
Yeah,
I don't think I had any repeating
Isn't that
cards.
crazy?
Now I do have repeating major arcana cards, but not a repeat minor arcana card.
I have a few repeats. I have the repeat of the Nine of Swords and the Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands and the Six of Wands. I have them more than once. And I know that because when I did my cards, I had to use two different decks because I only had one card of each, and I had to use multiple decks to do my card collage. Isn't that fascinating? I was going to say, one of my first birth charts, when I was very, very new to this, it gave me an elemental weight of my birth chart. Have you heard of this? And it was like,
yes.
the weight, I had more weight in fire and air, And I was like, well, that's interesting. I didn't really, I was curious. I thought you're curious about it, but I didn't really know how that was figured. And now I know exactly how that was figured because now I've done it for myself. I've seen the swords and I've
Mhm.
seen the wands and I've seen the like you said in my brain it is so satisfying to be able to do a count and to see how many swords I have and how many wands I have and how many times the emperor shows up and how many times the emperor and empress and how many times the magician is there. It was very I like to see that. I like to to see the weight myself, but then also like how many things surprised me is really why this exercise was so fascinating. I had affinity for certain cards, like the what's the one that Seven of Cups, the one with all the
Mhm.
cups with all the things in it. And when we did that episode, I was like, I love this card. To me, it's all about this. It's about imagination. And I love it. To me, there's nothing negative about this card. That's one of my cards in my birth chart. It's tied to one of my nodes, I think. But it's fun to see where these cards show up that you've been kind of drawn to. And now you might have a deeper understanding of why these cards appeal to you so closely. But then again, and also why some of them you're so resistant to. And you see where that is and you're like, well, no wonder that's in that
Yeah.
challenging sign or that challenging placement.
And not to state the obvious, but I'm stating it because when I, we originally did this, or we started talking about it months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first iteration of doing this, I only did my sun, moon, and the other 5 traditional celestial bodies,
Mm-hmm.
because the descending framework is only based on the traditional 7 celestial bodies. So I stopped at Saturn. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do this for Uranus or
Mm-hmm.
Pluto or Chiron because I was like, I can't. But you can. That was like I had to like, because I saw Christina do like her Neptune and I was like, you can't do Neptune though. Um so and like the template includes, all the planets, the celestial bodies, Lilith, Chiron, the 4 angles or
Mm-hmm.
lines of your birth chart, but you can do this with any celestial body, any asteroid. So, if you're like me and you're like, this doesn't make sense, like it does. And once you start doing it, you're like, oh, yeah, this works totally fine. But that was just something humorous. Speaking of the angles in the birth chart, when I say angles, these are the cusps of the 4 cardinal houses. We typically are very familiar with the ascendant, also called the rising sign. For these, having the time of your birth is pretty important, but you can do it without your time either. But this will give you like precise information with the correct birth time. And what's fun about pulling tarot cards for these 4 angles is I feel like it can give you a lot of information. So, the ascendant being the cusp of the first house, Christina kind of talked about how the sun is like about our ego and our identity. The first house very much is that same theme, that same energy. It is who you are. It is the I am sort of mantra. Directly opposing your ascendant is your descendant at the cusp of your 7th house. And because they're in opposition, if the first house is like about me and my identity, the seventh house is about relationships. And the mantra is I relate. Typically, the seventh house is going to be romantic relationships, but you can also think about it as relationships in general. This line, the descendant, gives you information on your compatibility with others, your emotional intelligence, and what you seek in relationships.
It's your cosmic plus one.
Yes,
Do you remember that when we did that? It's like,
I
that's
do.
exactly it. Your cosmic plus one.
So for me, my ascendant, my rising sign is Scorpio.
It's that sting.
And the based on the degrees, I'm in the first decan. So 6 of cups and the death card is the corresponding major arcana card there. So that's fun to think about. And then my descendant is the 6 of pentacles, which, like, if you notice, like, those are in opposition in the tarot as
Mm-hmm.
well, because water and earth oppose each other. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the 6 of pentacles, and the major arcana card for me here is the Hierophant. And there's 2 more angles. Our MC is at the cusp of the 10th house. So we're kind of at the very tippy top of our birth chart. And this is the concept of how you function in society, your public persona, how you want to be viewed by others or how you are viewed by others, sort of your reputation.
Your mission
And then,
statement. Your mission
yeah,
statement, right? Didn't we say that? With that was like, and
yeah,
sometimes it's related to job and career, but sometimes it's just related to like what you want to do with your life, your mission statement of
yes,
life. Yeah.
yes. And then the oppositional angle or line here is the IC. So we move from the MC, the medium Coley, to the IC, the Imam Coley, the bottom of the sky, the cusp of the fourth house. I function within. And this is reflective of the environment that you sort of grew up in, what you learned to function with, the norms and the rules that you grew accustomed to. I think of it as like your programming, how you were programmed. So this is very much an inward facing idea, who you are on the inside versus who you are on the outside, who you are at home versus who you are at work, to make it like very simple. For me, my MC, the top of my chart, the 10th house is the 7 of Wands and the Strength card. And so my IC is the 7 of Swords and the Star. These are just fun to think about. And
Mm-hmm.
I laid these cards out and like actually made the clock face
Yeah.
so that it mirrors the points on my birth chart.
I like it.
And you know what's fun? Like, I didn't use the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I used a
Mm-mm.
different deck. You could do
Yeah.
this with every single tarot deck you own and probably get a different insight because the art is different, the imagery is different, the symbols are different.
And you can mix them
Okay.
up too. Pick your favorite
Yeah.
ones. I had so many repeating that even in my big three, I needed more than one lover's card. And I'm like, hey, I could just pick out all my like
Yeah.
favorite ones or all my challenging ones or just like it you can like Nicole said, you can get a completely different insight when you're moving through the different images of your favorite
Mhm.
decks or your least favorite decks, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun to do. You can also do this with your chart ruler and your big
Mm-hmm.
3. So the way I did this is I pulled the strength card, the Hierophant, and the death card because my sun is Leo, my moon is Taurus, my rising is Scorpio. So those are my big 3. And then my chart ruler, ironically, is the Judgment card, because
Yeah.
Pluto's at home in Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio rising, and your chart ruler is the celestial body
Yes.
domiciled in your rising sign or your ascendant.
Isn't that something?
And you pull the
Mm.
corresponding planetary card, and that's your chart ruler. So I'm sitting here looking at like the Judgment card, sort of overlaid my big three, and like you get to decipher that for
Yeah.
yourself. You get to derive meaning for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I could spend
Oh, yeah.
hours and hours looking at
I mean, I
this.
would gather, like, do a deep dive into the theme of your chart ruler. Mine is the magician because Mercury is my ascent. And I'm like, what does the magician mean? How does that theme in my life? How does that energy assist me? How does that energy impede me? How do I like work better with that? And then I could pull out all of the wands, where they're located, what planets they're with, and then work with the wand energy of where they correspond with the planet. And then when that planet does its return, or when that planet is in my sign, there's so many ways that you can use this information to use that energy and also understand better. I have one earth placement in my chart, and that is one of my nodes. Yeah, it's one of my nodes. So I don't have a lot of earth, and it makes so much sense to me how I like to spend my time in this physical world and what I don't like to do. What I don't like to do, where I don't like to go. And it gives me so much more insight and like how I need to feel grounded. And when I want to go on vacation and I understand better, I don't want to do certain things. I crave different environments because I need to balance my ethereal world with my physical world. And why is that? And that's because I don't have a lot of earth in my chart. I need a lot of earth in my life. I need a lot of earth and a lot of grounding and a lot of trees and a lot of rocks and a lot of plants in my life. That's what I'm drawn to. And once I look at my birth chart and I look at this, I'm like, I understand why that is now. I wouldn't have thought I had just one pentacles placement. I wouldn't have thought that unless I laid it all out and started to look at it. Another quick point I wanted to make about degrees, as Nicole mentioned, you do need to know the degrees, and there's many free online sites that can give you the degrees. I have degrees and minutes in some of my birth
Mm-hmm.
charts. And my sun is in 29 degrees Gemini. You can find out a lot of more information based on the degrees. The 29th degree, as Nicole, we did a whole thing on this, and you were talking about critical degrees and you were talking about karmic
Mm-hmm.
degrees. 29 degrees is the degree of fate. Generally, the higher the degree, the more the planet has, or the energy or the celestial object or the mathematical point in the sky has progressed through. So if it's at 29 degrees of Gemini, you're dealing with a highly, maybe not evolved, but a high like knowingness or an urgency in that Gemini energy. As opposed to my moon is in Sagittarius 0, and 0 being at the beginning of the sign is like a newness, is like a learning, like a beginning of the understanding of that energy. And it can even have an echo of the previous sign in it. Have you ever heard that at a 0
Mm-hmm.
degree, because it's right there, it could have an echo of the past? And granted, 29 degrees, you're very aware of what's coming next. You also
Mm-hmm.
have a highlight of that too. So that's an interesting point, listeners, as you're looking at your degrees, where they fall has a little more information for you. And then my ascent in Gemini, or let's say this, my Mercury in Gemini is at 15 degrees. And there's an element of being right in the middle, using a
Mm-hmm.
different degree, that when you're at the 15 degree, you're at the midpoint of the sign. And that has a lot of information regarding the intensity and the flavor and the theme of that energy as well. And each degree has its own story to tell, which is incredibly fascinating, and is another way that we could sit around and talk about this for hours.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about the planets, we could talk about the returns, then we talk about the tarot cards, and now let's talk about the degrees. And even breaking it down to the, like, even the decans, we can talk about how many first decans do you have, and take all that information, and that is all the cardinal energy, that's all the beginning energy, that's all the initiation energy. And then how many second decans do you have? That's all the fixed energy, and all, the middle energy. And then the next one is the mutable. So many different layers, and it was very pleasing to my highly airish Gemini overly stimulated brain at this time of the year to do this, because I love things. I love, like, all the classifications and all the columns and all the information.
As we've done this, I've written down 3 columns that could be added. The like your house
Yes.
and the mode and the element. Cuz I was looking at that too. How many first, second, third
Mhm.
decans do I have? And I was also looking at, like, in the minor arcana, are there any numbers? Like, it seems like I have a lot of 9s, but I think I only have like 1 3. Like, that might capture your attention and you might go down like a whole numerology thing with the numbers most present. Like, there's
Oh, I see what
so
you're saying.
many.
Because that would give you, in essence, that's tied to the degree, because the higher the number, like the 8, 9, and 10 are in the third decan, which is in the uh uh 19 to 29 degrees, right? Or is it, yeah, it's in the
Mhm.
the higher degree of the
Mhm.
the zodiac sign, which means it has a different intensity of the energy. It has a different age. The energy is older, more mature. We're talking about a newborn to like somebody who's like is full of wisdom and who has learned and who has aged. So yeah, I
Mhm.
went down a rabbit hole with the degrees, and I was loving it. I was looking up the different ologies, the different schools of thought on the degrees. Listeners, you'll find different schools of thought and different definitions of the different degrees. It is absolutely fascinating. But I have a lot of high degrees. I don't have a lot of small degrees. Does that make sense? A lot of my degrees are
Mhm.
15 and over.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
it's so cool. Oh, I want to fill out more charts. I want more columns. Give me more columns, Nicole.
I
I
think I
love
probably
to.
will add those columns.
More columns. And finding out we're covering the houses next season, listeners. So
Mhm.
I just like I talked about Chiron house, because that talks about where the healing could happen in your life. And there is that layer on almost all of the other signs as well. Like where sun is in Gemini in what house, or where your moon in Sagittarius is in what house, can give you another layer of information. And I can't wait to do the houses.
Yes. One of my final thoughts, revisiting the concept of the thirds. We talked
Oh,
about this when we talked about Chinese metaphysics,
yes.
the thirds being what influences the unfolding of our life. And one of the thirds is like how we harmonize our elements, and sort of the concept of feng shui and how we handle sort of incoming elements and harmonize them with like our constitution. I think that's the magician. I think the magician symbolizes that one third.
And that is very
And
much
then,
physical world too, like
yes,
manipulating your elements in the
hmm
physical world.
the second third is the idea of like fate and
Yeah.
luck,
Yes.
but also our birth chart, our blueprint. In Chinese metaphysics, this would be the four pillars. That's sort of their version of the birth chart. And
That's my
to me,
favorite
this
third,
is
the one of
the
luck.
Wheel of Fortune, right?
Yes. Oh, that's perfect.
The third would be the concept of free will. I think karma also, you reap what you sow.
Mm,
Saturnian experience.
mm.
And I'm going justice.
I don't like this one. I'm joking. I like the luck one better. Yeah, justice is good there. Because that also has an element of like more dealing with other people. You know what I mean? There's also one of your thirds is how you are in the world, right? And
Yes.
how the world, like that free, how the world affects you. So justice, that's it, right? That's our relationship with the people and the world and the rules and the laws and the communities and everything around us and the countries and everything around us. Well, how about that? One third, one third, one third.
Okay. So, messages from the universe. I have 3 cards from the Citadel Fantasy Oracle by Fen Inkwright. So choose card 1, 2, or 3. Our first card is the Dancer. Self-expression and strength. A tambourine shivers, filling the air with the sound of silver, and silks carve shapes out of the air as the dancer leaps and spins. Whatever they have left behind to come to the citadel, that is the past, and this is the now. They bring only themselves into the dance, unashamed to let the world see them for who they truly are. It's time to stop worrying about what the world thinks of you and embrace the parts of yourself that you've been trying to make more palatable to others. Self acceptance comes with maturity and a recognition of your own capability, a revelation that is stronger for having come through a period of doubt. It's time to free yourself from your past and embrace yourself for you. You have a strength and compassion within you that you haven't realized yet. Card number 2, the Masquerary, hiding your true self and projection. Down a quiet side street, hidden in the twisted back roads of the Citadel, a shop waits for its next curious visitor. Thousands of faces line the wall, masks in every shape, form, and color. At their center, their creator, wizened hands painting rouge on the cheeks of their next masterpiece. The masquerade has made so many masks that they do not remember who they were when they first opened the shop. Each one is an expression of their spirit, their creative heart. Each one is made by chipping away little pieces of themselves to sell to the next customer. We all wear different masks to appease the people around us, at work, with friends, and in front of family. Each mask is the part of ourselves we think is appropriate in the moment, but by being so concerned about others' opinions, you can lose sight of your true self. Stop changing to fit public expectations. It's time to work out who you are and what you want your life to be. Who is your genuine self? Let yourself be vulnerable and show others the real you. I'm noticing a little theme.
Mm.
Our third card, the Poet. Relationships, vulnerability. Music, laughter, the swirl of beautiful dresses. Tonight is a night free from care and the troubles of the outside world. Amongst the dancers, a single figure draws the attention of everyone present. A flash of embroidered silk, the wave of a hand, a voice as clear as a bell, The poet is life itself, pure and undiluted. Instantly in love with every new person they meet, they are drawn to people just as people are drawn to them. A sonnet ready for every new spark of love. There is love on the horizon, and it's up to you to embrace it. Whatever your hesitations, it's time to accept the heart pounding, trembling chaos that is opening yourself up to another. Write poems, find your song. Love is a creative work. Be your imaginative, authentic self and let other like minded people flock to you. This is when you will experience true happiness. Thank you, universe.
Thank you, universe.
We are back next week with the Chariot because we are moving out of Gemini and into Cancer season.
Out of our heads and into our heart.
Yeah. So until then, listeners, thank you. We love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. The Radical Podcast is created and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music. Stay in touch with us at linktr.ee/theradicalpodnc.